Ancient architecture stands as a lasting testimony to human achievement, a visual reflection of the cultural needs and shifting beliefs of civilizations at different points in time. Archaeologists avidly study the ancient architecture of the past, temples, buildings, and monuments, to reveal clues about the ancient civilizations that created them and understand how past innovation has helped shape the construction of our modern-day world. The Colosseum, the Taj Mahal, and the Temple of Jupiter, three famous examples of architecture that have withstood the test of time. All three served very different purposes, but they each provide unique insight into the beliefs and cultures of the societies who commissioned them. Their architects were master builders who put their imaginations to work in order to achieve amazing architectural feats. The Colosseum, this arena for blood sports, provided entertainment for the Roman populace and bragging rights for Roman military supremacy. This ancient amphitheatre played host to an array of spectacular shows, feats of engineering, and technical prowess that would be difficult to execute today. Recent archaeological findings reveal how Roman engineers created such technically advanced entertainment and provides new evidence as to the Colosseum's evolving purpose after the fall of Rome. The Taj Mahal. Constructing a whole complex of palatial buildings as a mausoleum for a deceased loved one might seem a little over the top. But aside from being a sublime testament to the power of true love, the Taj Mahal is an architectural masterpiece. It boasts perfect symmetry and complex canal waterways that have inspired study and reverence for its 15th century architects. Today, with the help of high-tech satellites, evidence of how the building was so perfectly constructed is finally coming to light. The Temple of Jupiter, the most important temple of ancient Rome. Its origin dates back to 509 BC. The largest construction of its kind, its enormous megalithic pillars have inspired German and Lebanese archaeologists to study its monumental remains, in an effort to glean how an ancient civilization could have possibly created a temple of this magnitude, and for what purpose. So, join us on a journey through this mysterious Earth episode and discover some of the most fascinating historical enigmas as we explore secrets of ancient architecture. Spanning nearly 2,000 feet around and 160 feet tall, the Colosseum is the biggest building the Romans ever constructed. It's a spectacle of design and engineering, representing all their culture's genius and gore, as it was built to showcase blood sports, mass crucifixions, costumed gladiators fighting to their death, and exotic animals unleashed upon unsuspecting victims. The most famous amphitheatre in the world witnessed an estimated 1 million deaths, while a crowd of 50,000 Roman citizens cheered, according to written accounts. But why did the Romans relish such bloody spectacles? What does the Colosseum's architecture tell us about this violent time in human civilization? Emperor Vespasian ordered the construction of the Colosseum in the year 72 AD as a gift to the Romans and as a public statement. He wanted to be perceived as nothing like his predecessor, the infamous Nero, who was known for his extravagance and pleasure palaces. To show he was a leader of the people, he built a center for blood sports to celebrate military power and Roman supremacy over the conquered states. The games were showcased throughout an entire day and followed a staged routine. that included a morning procession featuring trumpeters, performers, fighters, priests, nobles, and carriages bearing the effigies of the gods. The daily shows typically commenced with a wild beast hunt, followed by the execution of criminals, barbarians, and prisoners of war. But the main event was the gladiator fights. While these large and complicated spectacles are well documented, nobody knew how the Romans were able to technically pull off such complicated and ambitious shows until Heinz-Jürgen Best of the German Archaeological Institute in Rome began to study the architecture of the Colosseum. Surprises like the sudden appearance of wild animals from trapdoors were largely speculated, but there was little evidential proof. Now, after over 15 years of research, Best says the ruins beneath the Colosseum had a lot in common with a huge sailing ship. The underground staging area had countless ropes, pulleys, and other wood and metal mechanisms housed in very limited space, all requiring endless training and drilling to run smoothly during a show. Like a ship, too, everything could be disassembled and stored neatly away when it was not being used. But what happened to the Colosseum after the fall of the Roman Empire? Once the bloody spectacles ended by the 6th century, the building was used in many different ways over the course of time. Archaeologists in Rome have discovered the remains of a timber walkway used by soldiers guarding a fortress built into the remains of the Colosseum during the Middle Ages. By the 12th century, a powerful baronial family, the Frangipan, had commandeered the Colosseum and built a formidable fortress into its southern flank. The Frangipan family was at war with another family of Roman nobles, the Annibaldi family, and the walkway was built into the top tier of the amphitheatre for soldiers to watch out for attacking enemy forces. All remains of the fortress were lost during the 19th century, but after a 2-year cleaning and restoration of the Colosseum, experts found holes carved into the travertine stone of the monument, proof of the supporting beams upon which the wooden walkway was built. The discovery brings to light the fascinating history of the Colosseum in the post-Roman era that's often overlooked by historians and tourists. Although badly damaged by earthquakes and pillaged for its stone, the Colosseum was densely inhabited in the Middle Ages, with workshops, dwellings, storehouses, stables, even slaughterhouses being built into its crumbling infrastructure. Animal remains found by archaeologists at the site, including a ram's skull and an ox rib, provide further evidence that the Colosseum offers endless insight into medieval daily life. The Colosseum, a masterpiece of design and engineering that has shown an extraordinary capacity to assume different identities over the centuries. Millions of tourists flock to marvel at this incredible legacy of ancient architecture and relive the bloody spectacles from the Roman era. But thanks to continued restoration and archaeological discovery, the secrets of its ever-evolving past continue to resurface and inspire. The Taj Mahal is a complex of buildings constructed in the city of Agra, India, between 1631 and 1654, under the command of the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. It represents a great love story and was dubbed by poet Rabindranath Tagore as a teardrop on the cheek of eternity, since it was erected as a funeral monument to honor the death of the Shah's third and favorite wife. According to legend, in her deathbed, after giving birth to their 14th child, the Queen asked her king to build a monument without parallel in the world to remember and honor her. And so Shah Jahan hired 20,000 workers to undertake the construction of the Taj Mahal which today is an example of sublime beauty and symmetry. What makes their love story even more powerful is that in East Indian culture, being in love is not always a requirement for getting married. Marriage is seen as a holy union, but, like many cultures, has also been viewed as a business arrangement. For 15th century Indians, love was primarily reserved for the deities, the many gods of the Hindu religion. An era of business-like unions makes the love between Shah Jahan and his third wife all that more unusual and profound. The name Taj Mahal means the crown of the palace, and so although it serves as his wife's final resting place, it means so much more. The king wanted to commemorate his wife, enshrining her high stature position for all time and gifting her a crown that would last forever here on Earth. This huge complex is located in a curve of the Yamuna River and is comprised of 22 small domes that symbolize the 22 years it took to erect the mausoleum. The big dome at the center is the physical manifestation of the crown of the palace and a jewel of engineering and design. According to international architect Hedi Teherani, today we would have built giant supporting structures in steel for a dome like this. But at the time, they had to solve all their problems in stone. So they lay stone on stone and built up the dome in rings. No expense was spared. The best materials were used, starting with the fine white marble that covers the walls, that was brought by 1,000 elephants from the quarries of Makrana, Rajasthan. It's unclear who the architect was of the Taj Mahal. However, there are legends that Shah Jahan killed the wife of the Taj Mahal's mysterious architect, so he could really understand the pain the king was suffering and reflect it on the project. Another legend tells that once the complex was completed, the Shah took away the architect's eyes and hands to make sure he could never produce something like this majestic mausoleum ever again. Amelia Coralina Sparavigna, a physics professor at the Polytechnic University of Turin in Italy, recently studied the alignments of the Taj Mahal's gardens with the path of the sun and its orientation with the cardinal directions. She revealed that while solar alignments are common in Mughal gardens, in the case of the Taj Mahal, the gardens are perfectly aligned, giving credence to its reputation as a reproduction of the Garden of Eden. Impressive for anyone, let alone 15th century landscape artists. The symmetry and astrological knowledge required to pull off the design elements is commendable, and only serves to draw a visitor further into the architectural experience. Owen Jarvis of Live Science describes how the sun's position influences the experience of visiting the Taj Mahal, indicating that if one arrives before the sun rises on the day of the summer solstice and walks up to the north-central portion of the garden, the two pathways intersect at a waterway. Stepping into that waterway and turning your gaze towards a pavilion in the northeast, one would see the sun rise directly over it. Over the course of the day, the sun rises and sets in alignment with another pavilion to the northwest. The mausoleum and minarets of the Taj Mahal are located between the two pavilions, framed by the rising and setting solstice sun. Owen Jarvis explains that the solstice alignments could have served a greater purpose, beyond symbolic meaning. The alignments helping ancient architects build the Taj Mahal and its gardens more precisely. There is no doubt that aside from being a sublime testament to romantic love, the Taj Mahal is an architectural masterpiece. For physicists and archaeologists studying the Taj Mahal's craftsmanship with software and satellite technology such as Google Earth, they're seeing the ancient architecture through a new lens, uncovering hidden secrets of its 15th century mastery and precision. Prior to satellite use, archaeologists were using traditional maps and plans obtained after local surveys. Utilizing this new technology, researchers have determined 6 main directions: that are not only reflected in the planning of the Taj Mahal and its gardens, but are perfectly in alignment with the cardinal points of north-south, east-west, as well as 4 points given by sunrise and sunset on summer and winter solstices. The precision of the Taj Mahal's architecture and landscaping provides a window into the cultural soul of the Mughal people and the profound level of craftsmanship and design they were able to achieve using primitive 15th century technology that has withstood the test of time. Located at an altitude of 1,170 meters in the fertile Bekaa Valley, the ruins at Baalbek, Lebanon, are one of the most extraordinary and enigmatic holy places of ancient times. It's the site of one of the most mysterious ruins of the Roman Empire, a monumental 2,000-year-old temple to Jupiter that sits atop 3,000-ton stone blocks. The Temple of Jupiter was a colossal temple dedicated to the cult of Jupiter, the Roman equivalent to the Greek god Zeus. It was the main building of a huge sanctuary or complex comprised by different pagan Roman temples, surrounding a big patio called the Great Court. It's considered one of the biggest buildings of the Roman Empire, dedicated to Jupiter. Today, only 6 columns still stand on its southern side. Recent discoveries point to the possibility of the presence of a very technically advanced prehistoric civilization as responsible for the original monumental build. The idea has ignited renewed study of the ruins by researchers and archaeologists eager to unearth the megalith's hidden secrets. Baalbek is officially a Roman temple that was built on the foundations of a much earlier site. The Romans called it Heliopolis, but researchers argue that it could have been a Phoenician monument built by the Canaanites or the people of Canaan. The Bible makes reference to the Canaanites and reference to giants that supposedly inhabited the complex. According to Estefan Douaihi, the Maronite patriarch of Lebanon, tradition states that the fortress of Baalbek is the most ancient building in the world. Cain, the son of Adam, built it in the year 133 of the creation, during a fit of raving madness. He gave it the name of his son Enoch, and peopled it with giants, who were punished for their iniquities by the flood. The Trilithon, which is another name given to the complex due to its colossal-sized bottom stones, certainly seems to have been constructed by giants, and the western wall of the Temple of Jupiter contains some of these immense blocks. Some estimate that it would have taken 40,000 men to move them up to the main temple. Today, nobody understands how these massive stones were moved, lifted, and perfectly placed in such a precise way that not a sheet of paper can fit between them. To further increase the mystery, there are even larger and heavier stones that are being studied adjacent to the Temple of Jupiter, which may have served their own purpose. Hugh Newman, an author, world explorer, and self-proclaimed megalithomaniac, spent years studying megaliths around the globe. He confirmed the Stone of the South, a megalith located some 900 meters to the northeast of the Temple of Jupiter, but which never made its way to the temple, is actually the largest worked monolith on Earth, weighing in at a staggering 1,242 tons. It's even heavier than the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, which weighs an estimated 1,000 tons, that sits on the other side of the road near the Temple of Jupiter site. While these stones don't make up the core ruins of the Temple of Jupiter, Newman claims there's evidence they were raised 20 feet into the air and placed with machine-like precision at the foundations of this mighty ancient complex. Recently, Janine Abdel-Masih, a professor of classical archaeology and conservation technique at Lebanese University, and her team uncovered a further monolith, that sits virtually underneath the stone of the pregnant woman. Their theory is this megalith was once destined for the main temple site. Newman explains, until recently, it was buried under a few feet of dirt and has been measured at 19.6 meters long, 6 meters wide, and 5.5 meters thick. Since Janine's team has not yet reached the bottom of the rock to completely clear the site, they have no idea of the true volume or the complete dimensions of the ancient stone. But the discovery of this new monolith adds another level of mystery to the site, as it sits virtually under the stone of the pregnant woman and would have had to have been lifted out after this other 1,000-ton block was moved. Margaret van Es, a professor from the German Archaeological Institute, stated that the original purpose of the investigation was to find out how the stones of the temple were transported and why the stone of the pregnant woman and the stone of the south were left behind. They never thought that the research would unearth the biggest monolith of antiquity and the biggest mystery of ancient architectural construction. What puzzles archaeologists is the sheer size of the stones used. Why did ancient civilizations feel it was necessary to create a shrine using such heavy and large edifices? How could primitive civilizations have possibly moved the stones so precisely into their positions? It's been established that the pillars holding up the Temple of Jupiter's podium are bigger than they needed to be architecturally, inspiring German archaeologists to study the Baalbek stones as part of a series of megalithic study. The Colosseum, the Taj Mahal, and the Temple of Jupiter. 3 examples of superb ancient architecture that continue to baffle archaeologists and researchers. 3 jewels of antiquity that amaze the modern world with their grandeur, beauty, and architectural mysteries. So, join us next time on another journey to discover some of the most fascinating historical enigmas of our mysterious Earth.